Grey's Anatomy, Season 22, Episode 1 delivered a deeply emotional story centered on Joe Wilson and Atticus Link Lincoln, whose relationship took a heartbreaking yet hopeful turn amid tragedy. What started as a normal day at Grey Sloan Memorial quickly spiraled into chaos when an explosion rocked the hospital, leaving both doctors and patients fighting for survival. For Joe and Link, the blast became a test of love, strength, and resilience. And by the end of the episode, their bond was forever changed. The explosion hit the OR floor with devastating force, trapping several doctors under the debris. Among them was Link, who suffered severe chest and internal injuries after being crushed beneath a collapsed beam. Known for his calm demeanor and strength, Link was suddenly powerless, gasping for air as his colleagues rushed to reach him. Owen Hunt, Ben Warren, and Miranda Bailey worked frantically to free him, realizing that time was running out. The scene was filled with the urgency and raw emotion Grey's Anatomy has perfected over the years. Meanwhile, Joe Wilson Link's partner and closest confidant was in the emergency department, unaware that the man she loved was among the victims. When she finally discovered Link's condition, her world stopped. For Joe, this wasn't just another colleague in danger, it was her person. Her reaction was pure heartbreak, disbelief, fear, and desperate hope. As Link was carried out of the wreckage, his pulse weak and his breathing shallow, Joe could do nothing but wait. Link's condition deteriorated rapidly. He flatlined during transport, and the tension in the room was unbearable. Even with the chaos surrounding them, the emotional focus remained on Joe, who was forced to stand helplessly as her colleagues fought to save him. In a moment that broke hearts everywhere, Link briefly regained consciousness and managed to speak to her through a radio connection. His words were soft, but filled with emotion. He told her he loved her, and that he'd make it through. Seconds later, the monitors went flat, leaving Joe in tears. Miraculously, Owen and Bailey managed to bring Link back. After several agonizing minutes of CPR and surgical intervention, his heart started beating again. The relief was overwhelming, but his condition remained critical. The once strong surgeon now lay motionless, leaving Joe torn between hope and despair. Amid all this chaos, Grey's Anatomy dropped another shocking twist. Joe is pregnant with twins. Earlier in the episode, she had been feeling dizzy and nauseated but brushed it off as exhaustion. A routine test confirmed what she least expected. She was expecting twins with Link. The timing was both beautiful and tragic, as Joe found out just before learning that Link's life was hanging by a thread. This revelation added emotional depth to the already devastating situation. For Joe, who has survived years of heartbreak, trauma, and rebuilding her life, the news of her pregnancy was supposed to symbolize a new beginning. But as she stood in that hospital waiting room, her hands over her stomach, tears streaming down her face, she realized that her future now depended on whether Link would survive. By the end of Season 22, Episode 1, Link was stabilized after an intense surgery, but his road to recovery was far from over. The explosion left more than physical scars. It exposed the depth of Joe and Link's love for each other. Their connection, built on friendship, shared pain, and healing, has always been one of the show's most genuine relationships. Now, with Joe carrying their twins, the stakes have never been higher. This premiere perfectly captured why Joe and Link's story resonates so deeply. It's not just about romance. It's about endurance, hope, and finding light in the darkest moments. As Season 22 unfolds, Joe's pregnancy and Link's fight for recovery promise to be the emotional heartbeat of Grey's Anatomy.